Here we go. And so hopefully everybody can see my screen. And all right, I think we covered everything. There's also a giant thank you to the whole committee that put this together. All of the legwork done by Sue Sanders, Becky McCabe, whose account we're on right now, Leslie King, and Jackie, and I'm just gonna ask Jackie DeGaetano, and I don't wanna mess up the name, spent a lot of time synthesizing information and put together the PowerPoint. Thank you, everybody. So first, who can vote by mail? This is an important point. The language is any qualified elector of the state who is properly registered to vote can vote by mail. But here's a caveat. Persons who have registered by mail, but they haven't been able to sign or provide that signature identification. And if you're voting for the first time and it's not on record, you need to go into the clerk's office. Okay, so that's a very important point. So important that I'm going to ask Brian right now, did I get that right? Is that correct?
I believe so, yes. Because there's no verification of that signature because we'll be getting a digital. So we can check on that to make sure. And if there's an update, I'll get you the information.
Thank you. Also, just so you know, guys, the recording is going to go onto our Facebook page, as well as hopefully we'll get a PDF of the PowerPoint. This first bullet point is going to especially affect, we think, college students. So really telling, if it's your own kids, but telling neighbors, make sure that they have, if they did it online, they're really going to need to go in person. And if they're unsure about that, call the clerk. Okay. Any kind of vote by mail requests or questions can be made. I guess the actual document can be requested online, or you can do a mail-in application, although it's getting kind of close on time for that. Please take this down, Kane County Clerk Elections webpage. Now that's actually a click link, and I won't go to it right now, but we'll post this in the chat as well. You'll get your ballot within 3 to 5 business days from when your request has been received. Now, please know that ballots don't even start going out until the 24th. So there are lots of people, I think, who have already requested ballots, but that mail date or that send date will start the 24th. The last date of request, as you can see at the bottom here, is October 29th. And we would recommend doing it much sooner. I think a key for everyone in voting is vote early, get your vote in early, get whatever it's vote by mail, or if you can, go vote in person early.
And that was even an issue before people were concerned about the Postal Service, before any of these changes. Because think about it, if you're just trying to mail something across town, there wasn't a guarantee that, in 3 days or 4 days, your mail was going to get to where it needed to be. So if you're requesting something on Thursday night, you're expecting that it gets processed, it goes out in the mail on Friday, and it gets from Geneva to St. Charles or Batavia or Elburn or wherever it is by Tuesday, and that the voter already knows who she's voting for, fills it out, and runs to the post office and gets postmarked that night. So yes, don't wait till Thursday. Don't, please.
Don't. Don't. Okay, so that's our first portion. If you've got any questions about that, like I said, we're monitoring the chat. Please put those clarifying questions in and we'll get those to Brian. So the second part here is, what do I do? How do I complete this ballot? So most importantly, this is a legal contract. What you have once you have that ballot is as important as your passport. Do not lose it. Do not let dog eat it. Do not, I could go on. If misplaced, it will affect your vote. Now, it is important that if you decide not to vote by mail, you can do that. You can vote in person, either early or on election day, but you must take that ballot in. And I believe there is a signature that you sign it basically away the fact that you're giving that ballot back. Very, very important. Don't lose the ballot. I know the next question could be, well, what if I lose the ballot? I teach 6th grade. I can just hear the questions. If you lose the ballot and you go in, you will be able to vote, as I understand, but you will be then a provisional vote. And a provisional vote is counted at the end of the process. Not sure, and Brian can clarify that. Provisional vote, Brian, how does that affect your vote?
Well, a provisional vote, a provisional vote usually happens if someone, let's say, comes to register to vote and doesn't have the proper identification or doesn't show up in our file or whatever, and then you have 14 days to come to the clerk's office to verify whatever's missing. So let's say I moved, I didn't get my license changed in time, and I want to go vote my new precinct, and I missed all the deadlines to do everything. If I don't have the ID correct to show where I live, they'll give me a provisional ballot, and then I have 2 weeks to go to the clerk's office to show, okay, I don't have a license, but I've got 2 pieces of mail or whatever else it needs. We'll talk later about if there's an error in the vote by mail ballot itself. We have time to cure those too. But mainly the provisional is because people can register and vote in the at the same time on election day, we have a lot less provisionals, but those things still happen. And to go back, if you have your ballot, so you applied for your vote by mail ballot, and like you said, bring it. The easiest way is to bring it. However, if you don't and you fill out the affidavit saying that you didn't get it, you want to vote in person instead of online or instead of by mail, you're not going to vote by mail, etc., then it will not be a provisional. It will be a real vote. Just don't try, no matter what the president says or anyone else, don't try to vote twice. So if you sign that affidavit, it's okay.
Good. Okay, thank you. Second
And
bullet
I just got a clarification on something. If you do register to vote online, you can vote by mail because they do have it because it's tied to your driver's license signature. So
okay, good.
We can clear that up.
Thanks for that clear. That's why you're here, Brian. That's why you get paid the big bucks. All right, filling out your vote by mail ballot. It is recommended that you return it, not just request it, but return it by October 9th. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do that afterwards. And we've been a little hesitant to put that date out because we don't want people to think that they can't vote after that time. It's just the best. It allows for the best process. Of course, just read the instructions. I mean, we don't want to talk down to anybody here, but sometimes we get busy and race through and don't complete things. I've certainly been known to do that myself, forget to sign a check or whatever it is. You do want to make sure that it's securely sealed in the envelope. And then you do need to sign the back of the envelope. That signature should be the same one or it matches your voter registration signature. And that you can find on your voter registration card. Important that the signatures match. All right, now we're going on to casting and how that happens, where it happens. Obviously, you vote by mail by taking it to the post office. It is important to know, I'm moving Brian down here. There isn't a stamp needed. I don't know that it would hurt it if it's on there, but obviously don't go to UPS or any kind of off, places. This does go to the U.S. Postal Service.
The postage is prepaid. You don't need to worry about a stamp.
Here's the other thing that we found out about, and I'm coming to this here where it talks about the drop box locations. So there are box locations. There is one in the Kane County Clerk's office. There's one in Geneva. There's one in the Aurora satellite office. What's really important to know here is that these boxes have to have poll sitters, as I understand it, or poll judges at them. They are being done, they're actually going to be screwed in. Like, these are permanent boxes now. So they are safe. There's been a lot of brouhaha about some counties doing more boxes than Kane County. Brian can talk more to that, but we are going to have safe vote by mail ballot boxes to use.
Brenda, if I might, there's also going
Sure.
to be a box at the Elgin City Hall.
Oh, good, good. If there are more questions about that, like I said, either Brian or Howard could answer that. There has been a certain amount of criticism, I guess, toward Clerk Cunningham on that point, and there's reasons why he has not put out more boxes. You may change your mind, and if you do vote in person, please, you so-called surrender that ballot. You're going to bring it in. It is not eaten by the dog. It's all in one piece, and you can do it either for early voting or on the day. You will have to sign a required affidavit, and then you go ahead and use the election equipment. And there's no problem. A lot of people are choosing to do this. A lot of people chose to get those ballots and will be taking that particular route. Okay, here's where I'm going to give up control to Brian, and then we can get into questions. There is a system called Ballot Tracks, which is a software application system. I'm not going to read this entire slide. I would ask that you please read it. But Brian, can you talk to us about Ballot Tracks? What is it? It's a new system. How does it work?
The name mostly says it all. It's a system to track your ballots. So the first thing though that we need everybody to do is to go to our website, kanevotes.org, and right on the front page, there's something that says, it says, hold on, click here to track your ballot. So instead of the clerk's office signing you up for a service that you may or may not want, we're encouraging all voters to go to the website and sign up for it. And you can choose whether you want to track your information by text, by email, by phone, by carrier pigeon, whatever you want. And we'll do that. So what it does is there are certain touch points where the ballots go along the system. When your application comes back to, when the application comes to our office and we have it, that starts the process. Through intelligent barcoding and everything, we know when the ballot gets to the post office. Then we know when the ballot gets to you, and you know when the ballot gets to you. And then we know when it comes back to the post office, and then when it comes back to us. So through this system, once you sign up for it, you're going to get notifications of your ballot went out. Your ballot was received back in the clerk's office. Your ballot, and then on election night, your ballot's been processed and tabulated, and your vote counts. So it's a way of letting voters know where your ballot is. And then hopefully it's also going to cut down on the phone calls, because we get a lot of calls about where do I vote, how do I do things, but the other parts are, where's my ballot? How do I know it's there? So this system is going to help do that. And a lot of other counties and election jurisdictions across the country use Ballot Tracks. So it's a highly reputable system. And the reason that we want the voters to sign up for it is if some don't want it, or some don't want us to only want to be contacted by email versus phone or text or whatever, you're picking what level of communication you want. So for privacy reasons.
All right, so it's really important that everybody is aware that votes are not tabulated until November 3rd, the night of, even though votes are coming in and they're going to be tracked. And Brian, I thought we were going to be able to see them. Isn't there going to be a way to know what votes are in before the night?
Votes are in? No.
Okay.
Well,
right.
I mean, if your ballot was returned. So there's a difference between, I guess, what we'll call processing and tabulating.
Right. Okay.
The system you saw when you guys came in, and you saw how all those ballots will be processed. They can be processed. Election judges, I can't remember if that's next slide. You're going to have 3 election judges reviewing everything, so that it's not just, some guy in the back of a room, you know, in a dark, smoky room or something. This whole process is being overseen by a bipartisan group of election judges. So anytime that machine's run, anytime those things are processed. So your ballot comes in, signatures are checked, et cetera. They're being processed, but they're not being tabulated. So, you know, right now we've had 80-some thousand requests. Those 80,000 ballots go out, and those 80,000 ballots come back right away, and they come back at the beginning of October. The judges are going to review the signatures. They're going to make sure everything's okay. They're going to process those ballots, but we don't know how those 80,000 people are going to vote till 7 o'clock on November 3rd. We just know that they're in, but we don't know how they voted. Because think about it, you don't want your voters to know the results of an election while people are still voting.
Of course. Folks, if you're watching right now, you can't, if you want to take a screenshot of this page, pretty soon here, I'm going to go to back to a gallery view so we can have questions. But this may be a really important screen. And again, Jackie did such a fabulous job of putting things into clear format. Where to request the ballot is the first bullet point on down. You know, this is a legal document. It's like your passport to voting, but this may be a great screenshot screen. And I think here at the end is another good screenshot screen with both the Kane County Clerk, Aurora. Wait, is this down? Oh, no, it's the two locations. Okay. That's the end of the presentation of information. So I think it's now time, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and let's go into gallery view. I can always put the screen back up. But it looks like we may have questions. I haven't been monitoring that. Sue and Jackie, do we have questions in the chat to
Yes.
talk about?
Jackie, if you want to host it, I'm happy to keep my mouth shut. Jackie, you're not muted. You're muted.
Looks like the first one was
Okay,
from.
there you are.
Here
Okay.
I am. I'm back.
Okay.
I'm on. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So there were questions in the chat, and the first one I sent you, Brenda, was asked that if you were a first-time voter and you don't have a signature on file, so you're a first-time registered voter and you registered online, you don't have a signature on file. It asks if they were allowed to receive the vote by mail application. And that went on to say that seems like a flaw. So Brian, I think that would be to you, that question.
I think we clarified that. That was incorrect. If you register online, even though, so the way that an online registration happens is it's through the Secretary of State's office. So they're tying it to your driver's license or state ID. We in our office don't have a copy of that signature. However, I checked with Raymond. The signatures are sent to us that are on file with the Secretary of State. So your driver's license signature then becomes your specimen signature. So you can register online if you have everything you need to do that and still vote by mail. So that the signature that would be your specimen would be that driver's license signature. And if you want to update it at some point, you can come to our office to update it. I think that was another question in the chat.
So Brian, just to clarify then, a college grad who registered to vote, let's say online, they're away at school right now. And
Yes.
COVID, they don't want to bring kids home. So they can vote by mail as long as their ballot got to college.
Correct. It's wherever they're registered to vote. Some kids register to vote, you know, down at U of I or wherever they are, and some register from their home address, whatever they consider their home, as long as they're consistent. And okay, I live in Geneva, I'm down at school, but I'm registered because my driver's license says I live in Geneva. Great. If you register online and do that, yes, you can have that vote by mail ballot sent to Champaign or wherever.
Okay.
I will change the slide because I pulled, we talked earlier, but it's good now to find out that they do use the driver's license or state ID signatures. That's great. Then someone asked, what if I lost my ballot and I want to vote live?
That's where that affidavit comes in. So when you come to the clerk's office, you're signing an affidavit saying, I don't have my ballot and I want to vote in person, whether that's election day or early.
And so they're not going to have to do a provisional ballot. They just sign the affidavit.
Correct.
That's what I thought. Okay, great. And then someone asked if they're going to have access to these slides to share. And there will be online to share.
Yeah, just so you know, because I think it was Diane that asked it. Diane, the reason I have the link right now and can put up, but what we're trying to do is make sure that this conversation that we have, if there's any clarifying questions, that we can add them to that PowerPoint. So that will be on the We Can Lead Change social media, Facebook, and actually Carrie may speak to that. Carrie, when we get done with questions, if you could talk to where people could go to find that information, the We Could Lead Change social media.
Brenda, I asked that question. Sorry, here, let me
Okay.
put myself so you can actually see me too. Sorry.
Hello, Diane.
Hi. I too am an educator. Live in Batavia and work in St. Charles, but I have a decent footprint presence on Facebook as well as Twitter, and I would love to be able to share the information with others, and want to make sure that that's, that's appropriate to do with the group. So that was the reason for the question.
We've even, we're offering it to the clerk as well. I'm not sure if that will, how Brian will do that or how it works. Jackie is one of the most meticulous creators and very, this is important info that can't be wrong. So she's, like I said, very meticulous to make sure that anything that goes into this PowerPoint, Brian is able to review it and knows about it. So the recording, this lovely conversation, and the document itself will go on to, I believe, Facebook, but I'll let Carrie talk to that at the end. So
and not just accuracy, but I greatly appreciate the ease of understanding.
I think we should all do air claps right now. There should be air clapping. That was a weak showing. Air clapping for the, all right, we're done. We're done. It is 6:58, so we're good on time. However, we want to keep this short and sweet. Let's put it that way. So we're going to continue on. I'm sorry, Jackie, you were doing questions.
Yes, let's go on. We have another question. Ginger asked, is it safer to turn in a vote by mail ballot in Geneva, or turn it in there and vote in person? So I guess what she wants to know is Ginger here with us? Well, she
yes,
wants.
I'm here.
Okay. Did I ask your question correctly, Ginger?
Sure.
Based on what you wrote? So you want to know what is safer, to vote by mail in Geneva and mail it, or turn it into a drop box, or vote in person? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I have signed up for vote by mail, and I plan to drop it at the Geneva drop box, not through the US mail. And would it be better, would it be counted first or whatever if I vote in person and just turn the unused ballot in, or just drop it by mail? Drop it in the box, the mail and vote.
If your vote by mail ballot is turned in prior to election day, then that'll be processed and ready to be counted at 7 o'clock on election night. If you vote in a polling place on election day, it's the same thing. Your ballot, that vote you cast, will be officially counted at 7 o'clock. So as long as you're turning that ballot in before election day, you're fine. There may actually, depending on how many people show up and turn in their ballots at the polling place, that could actually maybe delay things a bit, because those ballots, if you're just turning in your ballot, scratch that. If you're submitting your ballot and taking to vote in person on election day, it's the same thing. Your vote gets counted at 7 o'clock versus if you drop it in the drop box prior to election day.
Okay. I am going to vote early in any event. I was just checking to see whether it would be better to vote in person at the office or just drop my mail-in ballot there.
I don't think it makes a difference. I
Okay.
think
Okay. I had the next question too, I think, about signature.
well, someone asked, Brian, how many requests for vote by mail has Kane County received so far? That was from Howard.
I'm not sure the latest, but I think we were over 85,000 as of the last time that I heard something. Now, of that number, when we ran the first time through, maybe 10% of them were duplicates. Not that people were trying to do something, but our office sent out paper applications, and then the Fair Tax group, JB's group, sent out those, and I know other candidates have. So people may have gotten something and then said, oh, maybe they didn't get mine, and I'll send it in, and they didn't look to see who it was. I know today also the letters dropped from the Secretary of State's office. So we mailed out 211,000 paper applications to people. And then if we've received 85,000, there's still 125,000 or so that haven't returned those. Those 125,000 people got a letter saying, oh, by the way, if you want to vote by mail, you can do it. And, here's how you do it. So at this point, to answer the question, I think about 85,000. Let's anticipate about 10% of them are going to be duplicates. So somewhere around 80.
Is that more
And those
than usual? Is that more than prior elections, or is that about the same?
The highest we've ever had in terms of requests was 16,000 2 years ago.
Oh.
And about 13 or 14,000 of those voted. So not only is it more, it's exponentially more.
Pandemics do make a difference.
Okay.
Ginger had the next.
Yeah, well, yeah, the next question is how can I know what my signature looks like? Middle initial, middle name? What is my official voter registration signature, and how can I verify what it looks like?
Probably the easiest way to do that would be to call the clerk's office. My guess is I shouldn't say that. With COVID, you can still come in, you can still make an appointment to come in. We kind of limit the amount of people that come in just for safety. But if you wanted to come to the office and ask, say you want to see your specimen, produce the ID, show who you are, so you're not trying to do something. Or if, you think that you don't remember, you can also update your signature. My signature from when I was 18 is very different from mine now. So if you have any concerns, make an appointment, come to the office, and update the signature so that from now on what it's going to be, whether it had a middle initial, it had a maiden name, it had anything else, whatever. So you're clear. Generally, if you've ever had an issue when you've gone to vote, because the judges are reviewing your signature at that point. If you've had issues in the past, then your signature probably doesn't match what your specimen signature is. If you haven't had issues in the past, you'll probably be okay, because in essence, it's the same system. We had human judges reviewing signatures before in the polling places, and we had human judges reviewing the signatures for vote by mail. Now it's just, there's more of them. That's the only difference.
And
Well, when I receive the mail-in ballot, will it have my signature in the address field?
Well, no.
I mean, the form, middle initial, that type thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. Your name it will be whatever name you used when you registered to vote.
Oh, okay, so that'll do it. Thank you.
Let's see. Ca- I applied for a mail-in ballot back in July, but I haven't received anything yet. Is that because they're only getting mailed on September 24th?
Correct.
Right.
If you
Okay.
applied for a ballot online, you should have received a confirmation email at that time.
Okay. Can you sign up for ballot tracks now, or is it after September 24th? I just tried and it didn't recognize me. This is from Beth.
We just got this today, so perhaps it has a bug or two. I don't. I just maybe 2 hours ago got the email saying it was up. So I would hope so, but it may take a day or two. I'm not sure. If you still have issues after that point, please feel free to call our office.
Brian, I have a question on ballot tracks. May I ask it?
Yeah.
So am I understanding correctly that it works based on a barcode on the envelope of the ballot?
Yes.
Is that how it works? So when I get my vote by mail ballot, I'm going to get a return envelope and it will have a barcode on it. And that's how somehow tied to my voter registration. Is that correct?
It's yes.
So does this also help keep from having a person accidentally or whatever mail in 2 ballots under 1 registration? Because then there would be 2 different barcodes for 1 person.
Well, there'd be different barcodes on the ballots. There'd be different barcodes on the envelope. Plus, the machine that processes the envelopes as they come in has it weighs the envelope and it does a thickness check. So if you put 2 ballots in there, it's probably going to notice that you have 2 ballots in there. It's not the standard size, and it's probably going to get bumped to say, hey, something's wrong here, check it out.
Okay.
And so when the judges open that envelope, they see there are 2 ballots there. Okay, something's wrong. Now we have to let the voters know.
And also, people I know have said, oh, but what if I get mailed 2 different ballots to mail in? It would have 2 separate envelopes, but then you would have 2 barcodes tied to 1 person. Is that correct?
And the inserter, the machine that puts the ballots together, also has those same things that check the weight and the thickness. So if there were 2 envelopes and 2 ballots in that outgoing envelope, it's going to notice that.
Right.
So plus
Okay.
there's quality control of like every 50 ballots that are randomly selected. So, I mean, yes, anything can happen, whether it's a human error or it's, the automation, but we spent a lot of time researching this and the equipment we purchased and the process. So it's nothing's foolproof, but we've gone through and we have a lot of safeguards in place.
Right. The next question is, does ballot tracks only work for mailed vote by mail ballots, or will it let us know about a receipt at the office of ballots dropped off at the early voting site or a drop box?
I believe ballot tracks any ballot that's gone out. So any vote by mail ballot that goes out. So no matter how it's returned, it gets, when the ballot comes back in, it goes through that sorter that you saw. So it's going to get scanned incoming that it's been received, no matter how it comes back.
I am worried that votes will not be counted due to mismatched signatures, not just in Kane, but throughout the country. This is from Leslie.
Well, I can't speak for everywhere else. I can say that we ain't Georgia. Things are run differently. I think that at the beginning of the presentation was mentioned how our office handles things. While those are certainly valid concerns, what I will say about the mismatching of signatures, our law in Illinois is different than in other states. So first of all, as I mentioned earlier, there's not that much, there's not a significant difference between how you voted in any other election versus now. If you voted by mail before, it's the same process. If you haven't voted by mail, you still have human election judges reviewing the signatures, just like you do in the polling place. And the legislature, perhaps they looked at it as a safeguard. The statute says that in order for a signature to be challenged and a ballot not to be accepted, it has to be a unanimous vote of the election judges reviewing the signatures. So all 3 judges would have to look at it and say, no, that's not even close. I can't see where that is. It's bad, it's fraud, whatever you want to use, it doesn't count. So the likelihood of it happening, I think because you have judges from both parties reviewing those things and judges whose job it is to protect the integrity of the election, but also encourage people to vote, I don't think you're going to have those problems here. I can't say what's going to happen in any other state around us. I can't say necessarily what's going to happen in any other county, but the way our process works is those judges are going to review it, and I don't think you're going to have a lot of those. And if it does happen, if, let's say I send my ballot back and because my signature when I was 18 looks very different from my signature now, and if I sign my scribble now, if the judge looks at it and says, oh, I see a B and a line, I don't know what the heck that says, the clerk's office will notify any voter if for some reason that ballot is not accepted, whether it's because of a mismatch, whether it's because you didn't put the envelope in there, whether because you didn't sign it, period. The voter will be notified and have the opportunity to cure that. So if you get a call or an email or a piece of mail from us saying your ballot wasn't counted for X reason, come fix it, you'll have the chance to do it. So make sure you do it if that happens.
I'm gonna thank you, Brian. And that does, it is a concern. I think there's heightened concern, but all we can do is follow the rules. Everybody needs to get into the process early. I think that's going to help eliminate fears and concerns. Can I turn your attention to the chat? While we've had questions, we've had our social media people putting in the information to where you can find this recording and the finished slides. So, and that's something, this obviously, it disappears once we end the meeting. So you'll want to go in and copy it. I don't know if you have the ability to screenshot it or what on your computer, but we do have Facebook, Twitter, a .org, regular internet site. And we should probably start to close up here. So I think, are there any more questions?
I have one comment and a question. Maybe we could send out a MailChimp with this information on if they want to look at the slides, where to go. So in case they didn't get a screenshot.
Excellent.
And then 2, I have a question for Brian. kanevotes.org. Is that a website that the elections department at King County Clerk's Office put together? Is that a web page?
It's just a shortcut of, it's kanecountyclerk.org/elections, but we also have the domain for kanevotes.org. It's shorter.
Oh, okay. So it's the same page. Yeah. It's just another link.
Yes.
Thank you.
And while we're talking about
great.
Web pages and social media, if you don't already follow the clerk's office on Twitter and on Facebook, please do. It's not a push for likes or whatever. I don't even have social media myself, but in terms of putting the stuff together, I don't put out a lot of messages, but the stuff that we put out is relevant. Like we did a post yesterday letting people know that sample ballots are available and where to go so you can find out all the candidates that are there. We had a post earlier in the week to show the 3 ways to vote and what the deadlines are. So, and what we'll be doing once early voting starts is we'll do community specific posts. So I'll have an image. If you live in Aurora, you can vote early at the clerk's office or at where the vote mobile is and where some early voting sites are. And then Elburn and Batavia and St. Charles and all of those. So encourage people to do it, and please share it, because if we put the information out there and you spread it in your circles and your circles spread it around, then more people have access to the information. And that's what your goal is here, and we appreciate that. So
I unmuted for a minute. I sent in a question. My husband had a stroke about 4 years ago. He signs his name, but it is very messy. It will not resemble his prior signature. So what should I do about that? And I want to do vote by mail. We haven't had any trouble voting in person. No one has rejected it.
I mean, people understand there are special circumstances, and if it were to be caught and objected to, there'd be an opportunity to fix it. One way you could do is you could update the registration,
Yes.
and you can do that if he's able to go to the office to do it.
Oh,
That'd
sure.
be the easiest way. If not, then you can register. I mean, it's called registering, but you can update your signature online.
You wouldn't know
mail.
anything was wrong with him. He looks perfectly fine. He is perfectly capable of doing anything except writing and
Okay.
driving because he's half blind. But okay, that I think we'll go down and change his signature. That'll take care of it. Thank you.
Carrie,
Thank you.
and I just want to make sure you're gonna put some of this stuff online, and is that,
Yep. So I actually have a follow-up question for Brian. You said to make sure to follow the clerk's office, and was there a second location you mentioned?
Twitter, Facebook and Twitter.
So follow the clerk's office on Twitter and just all the social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we have Instagram or Snapchat, just those two.
Okay. And then, I was going to mention, I don't know if everyone knows, but you can actually save this chat if you would like. If you have the chat open and you look at the bottom right corner, you'll see 3 dots. If you click on the 3 dots, you'll see you can click on Save Chat.
I don't get that.
You don't see that? It's to the right of a button that says File.
Yeah, I'm on an iPad, so it might
It
not.
may be different on an iPad.
Yeah,
I know
I think
that.
it is.
Thank you for
Right.
saying that, because actually I just went down and did it. So we have that.
Yeah.
And we have another question here from Charles. There's been
Right.
an issue with knowing vote by mail requests are made. Works with email verification. What if the request by mail? Hey, Charles, can you ask your question? I'm not doing it justice.
When you register, when you request a vote by mail ballot online, you get a verification number printed on the web page, and you are supposed to get an email with a verification number on it. I had a call from a constituent that said, how do I know that my request for vote by mail has been received at the clerk's office? And I didn't know whether he had submitted the request online or through the mail. Are you sending out an acknowledgement with a verification code to those voters who have requested vote by mail ballots by mail, the U.S. Postal Service mail, rather than online?
No. No, we have not. If people have a question, they can call the clerk's office to ask. Once Ballot Tracks gets up and going, hopefully that'll show that the acknowledgement is in, that'll show that the ballot was requested. But if the constituent has a question in terms of, did you receive my mail application, I'd say call. Also, they'll know probably within 2 weeks when those ballots go out, if they got one. And if they don't receive it by the beginning of October, that's another way to tell people to call the office. But if they have a question now, just call. Hey, I sent my thing in, did you get it? Just the sheer volume to be sending those out at this point, it's a lot of work.
But Brian, you did say though that once Ballot Tracks is working, if you put a request in, you can look at Ballot Tracks to see if it's been sent out.
I believe so. I haven't used it yet since we've had it live because it just came up. So I haven't tested it myself to see. I think that's the purpose, but I can't say specifically.
Howard, did you have just?
sorry.
I'm sorry, so I didn't get what you asked.
Howard, I know we had you on. Did you want to add anything that Brian had said? Sorry, Brenda, I didn't mean to.
Oh, no.
The only thing I'd want to let people know about is that there is a push to put another ballot box up in Huntley, probably Sun City, because we've got Aurora, we've got Geneva, we have Elgin, but you've got that upper tier of the county that would have to drive down to Elgin if they did not want to mail in their ballot. So right now, that request has been put in. We don't know what's going to be done with it.
All right. So for the good of the group, are there any final questions while you have the experts here, Brian and Howard? There is a little note down here. Please join us for the October We Can Lead Change educational series next month, Racial Inequities. That topic is going to be covered on October 15th, Thursday. These are always held on Thursdays from 6:30 to 8, presented by the Illinois Single Payer Coalition. So please, please join us for that. Looks like Howard has his finger up.
I just wanted to let everybody know I shared a file just a few moments ago. Voting by mail. It's a 2-page document I put together a few weeks ago for an outside group. So it basically it has the URLs of where anybody can register to vote with the county clerks throughout the Fox Valley region, and then it has a timeline of what's going on with vote by mail. So feel free to use it, distribute it. Hopefully everybody will find it useful.
Thanks, Howard. Brian, thank you for being here today. I know it's a busy season and you've taken time and done a great job. Jackie, thank you for the creative slides. And for all of you that, Howard, thank you also for helping out. And for all of you that are in attendance, you make me believe in democracy, and it is so good to see faces and to talk and to share, not with vitriol, but with knowledge. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to keep the link open for a while in case there's any additional questions, but peace out. Have a great night.
Thank you, Brenda. You did a great job. Thank you.